Hello, this is Vintage Fisherman. Working on just trying to clean the bench up and get rid of a few reels here. This is a Penn 545, and I'm pretty sure I have done one of these reels. Oof, this one's rough. I mean, not rough, but a little crunchy. When I got it in, it was missing this lever. They break. They break really easy. So if you're buying one at auction, look for that. The whole GS series. That'd be the 525, 535, 545, and 555. These are made in USA Penns. They are very good quality. They're a plastic reel, but they have an anodized black aluminum spool. They got a pretty loud bait clicker. Well, this one doesn't. No, wait a minute. Not engaged. Oh, I don't have it engaged. Okay, this one's working. I was like, oh, that's something new. I've never had that happen before. But let's take it apart. Let's fix it up. Let's make a new reel out of it. A new used reel. Start here at the handle. Get it out of the way. These are very simple reels. They just don't get any simpler than this, honestly. You can change this from a regular handle to a power handle, and that's something that we will do. I think it would be better as a power handle. This reel won't be used as a casting reel. It will be used as probably a fighting reel for king mackerel, more than likely. My son will probably get it. I mean, I've got a bunch of them, so we'll see if he's watching these videos. Hint, hint. I never hear anything from him. Dad, your videos look good. No, don't never hear anything. So, got that apart. Let's take the spool tension knob off of it. This is your only cast control you got. This and your educated thumb. There's some shims in there. Sometimes you have to take an X-Acto knife, sharp one, get down under the edge of those shims to get them out. That one's not going to work. I'll have to get with this one. You just got to kind of find an edge. Don't cut yourself now. Don't cut yourself. But it's really important that you clean these washers up. They get really gunked up. And damn, they're hard to get out. I'm going to tell you that. I fight with them a lot. They're just a brass, basically a shim. And obviously, these aren't going to come out without some extra help. So, interesting. Well, I can always put it in ultrasonic and clean it. So, that's one way to get it clean. All right, you got 6 screws holding this whole thing together. They're all Phillips head. You got 2 small screws down here, the bottom of the gearbox. This teardown video, repair video will work with the 535, and I do believe the 555. I'm not sure about the 525. It's been a while since I've done one. They're hard to find. The 535s are hard to find. Don't know what it is about those 2 smaller sizes. I guess people will use them, for drum or whatever down on the coast, and they just seem to be a real popular casting size. So you can't find them around these parts anyway. If you do, you're going to pay too much money for them. To get this ring off, you got to kind of throw this lever. Well, we can go ahead and pull this part off. You got to kind of balance this lever in the middle and take that right off of there. And that way I can clean the crustiness off of it. Now, you got a plastic bushing in there that goes with that. You got a bearing. Bearing's good. It looks ugly. Got just a little bit of rust on it, but it's smooth, and that's good. Thank you, Penn, for putting good bearings in. It's been used in salt water. That's okay. Excuse me. We're going to put some of this fast oil in it. That's about all you can do with this. You could take this apart, but I don't see any need. It's going to clean up just fine with that on there. I just bought that lever. They easily are broken, like I said. Here you got a spacer. I'm going to lay it all out in this direction, okay? All right. Should be another one of those springs, but there's your pinion. This has the newer style drag. So, as I was saying, I was going to lay it out in this direction, and there it is. Then you had this washer underneath, and that's the whole thing there. Wish I could find that other spring. I hope it didn't go to the floor on me. This goes up under all of it between this. This goes in between this and the gear. Oh, there it is. Thank goodness. Your jack plate can come out. Your anti-reverse pawl is sitting on a post, and the post comes out. And if there's a weak part of this reel, it's actually right here. And I'm going to leave it. Well, we'll take that spring out. That post where it goes in right there, it can, on a hard strike with braided lines, something doesn't have any give to it, snap that plumb out of the housing. And even though it goes all the way through to the upper housing, look how thin that is. So, that's a weak part of this reel, and I don't suggest braid with these reels just because of that. But you're the user. You just do what you got to do. You're the owner, the user. You do what you got to do with it. But I don't normally run braid. For a live bait rig that's on a king rig with a release, of course, most piers don't allow braid for that. So, I would definitely recommend anything that can get hit really hard to go with mono or a shock leader at the very minimal. So there is another bearing. So that's 2 bearings now, folks. We're keeping count. We'll take that out. I can take this pinion off of there. We'll clean all that up really good. To get this off, I got to take that out. I'm not opposed to doing that for you. Here, let's try it and see. You can hold this shaft. It's got 2 flats on it. Okay. Take your screwdriver. Let's hope I don't butterfly it, and I didn't. And it is Loctite. It's got blue Loctite on it, by the way. But we're going to take this apart so we can clean it really good. Actually, it's got red Loctite. So that'll get re-Loctited when I put it back together. Now I can clean this bearing really well. There's nothing in it. I can tell it's smooth. I'm just going to clean the outside off. Run some oil down in it, some just good oil, this fast oil. Let it soak until I get a chance to get down here and put this reel back together. Okay, on to the other side. You get your spool out over here. 4 Phillips heads. Gotta love the simplicity of these reels. There's really nothing complicated about putting them back together. The only thing I would say is difficult is lining this jack plate up with that lever. That can be complicated, but if you do a couple of them, or if you're really careful and slow, methodic how you do this, it'll work out. Now there's 2 posts on these reels. A lot of people don't even know that. Oh, and by the way, your shortest screw goes down here at the bottom where the stand is. But I'm going to show you something here. Oh, there's a short one at the top too. Take that out. Then you can just push on your spool. There is the whole palm plate. These posts come out. You can clean them. And I highly suggest putting oil or some kind of a protectant down in those slots that they slide in to keep them from getting rusty, because salt water collects down in there. You can see salt and sand coming out of that one. Then your spool can come out this way. Now this reel was set up to cast, and I can tell you it was casted because when I got it in, it was blown up. But see how it's got the flyweight still on it? Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's really cool. Definitely a good thing. And you can, just like on the Garcia Ambassadors, you can push those flyweights all the way in and they won't work at all, or you can pull 1 out or 2 out, however many you need. We'll clean that separately. Okay, we got 1 bearing left. It's right here on the handle side. It just pushes out. I love the way Penn just has their bearings so easy to get to. Like Shimano's, you have to take these little clips out, and those things go flying. And these bearings can be replaced with, really good. If you're going to cast this thing, you might want to throw some good ABEX in there. But when you do, beware. Some ABEX like 7s or something like that. But if you put something like that in there, be ready, because when you go to throw it, it's going to really go. There's nothing holding it back with a good set of bearings in this reel. It's going to be fast just by changing oh, there's another bearing. So we're at 4 bearings. To get this bearing out, I'm going to use the long shaft of the spool and put down in there if it'll fit. No, it ain't. So I don't have a choice. I got to use the short shaft. Now there's something that's never happened to me before. The centrifugal weight ring just popped out. Not the end of the world, folks. I know how to fix that. But it's got to slide back in there, and they're probably going to put a dab of glue on, because you don't want that thing to come apart when you're casting. That would not be good. So we're at a 4-ball bearing reel here, which is remarkable for this vintage. Not many manufacturers were doing that back in this day. These bearings are in excellent shape. I could upgrade them. I don't see any point in it. We're going to make it spin good anyway. So we're going to clean that up. This also down in here is another shim that I'm going to try like heck to get out of there without losing it. There it is. Got it. See that little guy there? Don't lose it. Oh, heck. Don't lose it. Drop it in something where you'll never see it again. There you go. All this stuff right here, I want to just clean it inside the case. I don't see any point in taking that whole thing off there. Well, okay. You twisted my arm. To get this out, it's a... Do I really want to go there or not? No, I'm going to leave it alone and clean it there, because those little springs will fly out and I'll be frustrated with it. So it'll clean up fine just the way it is. The only thing I didn't get apart, I wanted to get apart, was that plate in there. I don't know why it wouldn't come out. It just didn't want to do its little thing. I prefer to get them out so I can clean up under them good. You know, if there's some corrosion up under here or whatever, I don't want that in there. It's all about making these reels last for the next generations, and corrosion will not let them last. But yeah, definitely don't want to come apart. Let me give it some WD-40 and let it soak overnight. I'm not going to get around to clean this reel today. We'll let that soak. All right, I'll bring you back when I get it all cleaned up. Hopefully I'll have that piece out of there. If not, I'll make it work the way it is. I'll be back. Well, I'm back. It turns out I lost my audio on this video, so I'm going to try to voice over it here and see what happens. But I'm starting out here with I'm getting ready to glue the centrifugal weight ring back to the palm plate. So I'm cleaning everything up with denatured alcohol, getting all the greases and oils and so forth off of it. I use a cotton swab and some denatured alcohol to do both pieces, so I get a good bond with the glue. I'm just cleaning these parts off right now. And show you how I do this. This is a nice old reel. It turned out really, really nice, in good shape. Getting a little bit more alcohol on the other end of the Q-tip. It's clean. And I'm going around the centrifugal ring that glues back in there. This fell out when I was taking it apart. And you don't want this to fail when you're casting. If it fails when you're casting, it's going to lock a reel up and snap. There goes your line. If you're reeling the line back in, if it was to fail, which would be very unlikely, but it could fail, then you're going to lose your fish because it's going to lock your reel up, and that's not good. So never want a piece of equipment to fail on a fish of a lifetime, right? So here I'm setting the weights into the outward position. They were actually turned around and snapped in where they would not actuate. I'm going to use this reel on a surf rod for drum. So I'm turning everything around. It's going to get some probably 17-pound test, or it may get braid, but braid's not very popular. When the drum are running and you got 100 people standing elbow to elbow on the beach, and you hook into one with braid, and it goes, if it runs north-south, it's going to tear up a lot of lines. So we try to run mono when we're fishing for drum off the beach. If we're around a lot of people. If we're not around a lot of people, it doesn't matter. We can all get out of each other's way. There's a couple here and there. So there I've got the weights set where they will fly out during cast. And now I'm getting ready to glue. You don't want any oil on the inside of that ring either, because that really defeats the purpose of having a break. Those fly weights will come out and not really slow the spool down against the ring. You can have one fly weight out, one locked in. You can have both locked in, or you can have both out. Depends on how much you want to break your spool on cast, and how windy it is, how good your thumb is, and all that good stuff. I'm using some Loctite gel glue. Real good stuff. I can't remember the actual name of it. The number on it. Loctite always has a number. It's going to be Extreme Glue. Loctite Extreme Glue. I'm going to put that on there. And just a little bit now. You don't have to go crazy with it. And then I'll wipe off any excess and I'll start putting the reel together. You don't want any glue protruding on the inside of that ring. If you do, and there's even just a little spot, those centrifugal weights will hit it and just go, it'll sound like a rod knocking in an engine. seriously. Okay. So we start putting a reel together here pretty quickly. And let's see, trying to keep up with what I'm doing here. Clean out the bearing pocket. Rolling the bait clicker up. Put a little bit of oil in the bearing pocket. You got the little bitty shim that goes down in there. There's actually a pocket for that. Kind of stuff it down in that pocket. And then your bearing. No retainers on the bearings on these reels, which I really like that. It's a whole lot easier to get them apart than the Shimano's and the Daiwas. You don't need those retainers. If the reel's made right, the bearing is going to retain itself in there. Okay. I'm going to put the spool in. Just picking out the right bearing here. Make sure I get the right bearing in on the spool. See, one of them's a handle bearing, one of them's a spool bearing. They're very close in size. There again, spool bearing just pushes in there. There's no retainer on it. A little more oil. I like this Dad's Old Tackle oil. It's really slick. Like it a lot. Put the spool in. Push your weights in so you don't engage the centrifugal ring when you put it in there. And I think I'm getting ready to do it. I recognize I did not put grease on those inserts. If those screws get stuck, this reel's pretty much trash. You can't fix it. You've got brass inserts and brass screws, and if you lubricate them, they won't get stuck. These are the bars, crossbars. Like on your old Penn conventionals, you had crossbars. This reel has crossbars also, but they're embedded in the plastic, which is really cool. I like the design. It works like a line guide and a thumb guide for you. It's on the front and rear of the reel, and they can be removed and cleaned. Put them in there. You can lubricate them again when you put them back in so they don't get corroded, because salt water builds up on those things as you reel in and cast out. And so you want them pretty well lubricated to protect the chrome on them. And so you got everything lubricated. You can put the cover on and put the 4 screws in it. It's got 2 long screws on each side, a short screw at the top and the bottom. You don't have to really cinch these down super duper tight. Just snug them in, a couple inch pounds. This reel's not coming apart. Like I said, I had the voice over this when I recorded this video. I did not turn my mic on. Lesson learned. I always double check now. I actually run a test, a short video test to make sure everything's working right. And then I start to actually record my videos. The mic works a lot better. I think y'all can understand me better. But it does leave that margin of error in there to forget to cut it on and so forth. So now we can start putting the drive side of the reel back together. And we'll start out with the handle shaft. It gets a bearing back on it. I'm going to put the screw in with blue Loctite. I'm going to actually clean the screw hole with some denatured alcohol so that the Loctite will work. I'm not putting red in. It had red on it. I think that's overkill. Blue is enough. Red can be removed with heat. Blue will usually remove with just some pressure and a good tool. This is some old Loctite. I've had this stuff around for a long time. It doesn't really go bad. In certain circumstances, an engineer is going to tell you don't use old Loctite, but they're more crucial. It's more crucial items than a fishing reel, trust me. It's usually something in the manufacturing or transportation industry that needs to be properly Loctited. I spent a number of years working on railroad equipment, and when you deal with engineers, and I'm not talking about the engineers that run the trains, I'm talking about the engineers that design the equipment on the trains. They're very, I will say, anal about how you do things. So here I'm just holding it with my adjustable wrench and then tightening down the retaining screw at the end of the shaft to hold that bearing in place. Checking the bearing, it's spinning good. We're going to insert the bearing or the handle shaft into the housing of the reel. And then it gets the retainer and 2 screws. Don't need to lubricate these screws. They're like a wood screw almost into plastic. There's no point in lubricating those. There again, my big hands get in the way sometimes. Tightening everything down. Don't try to kill it with torque now. A couple inch-pounds. Okay. Next up is, I want to say I'm probably going to do the anti-reverse dog. There's a pin. I think I put it in upside down to start out with. I had to flip it over. The pin goes through the dog into the cover and the frame to strengthen it. If there's a weak spot on this reel, it's that pin right there. And it's not the pin itself, but if you're using braid and you have a fish and you got your dragger really tight, you have a fish that hits hard, and that rod's in your hands or in something very stable, it will rip that pin out of the housing. It'll break the plastic. If you're trying to high stick something and something happens, you got a lot of weight on the end of the rod. If you don't break the rod, you'll break that housing where the pin goes in. So that's the weakest part of these reels. But other than that, they're very good reels, very strong. The average fish that they're made to tackle will not break this reel. Time will not wear this reel out. Poor maintenance will. That's the only thing that's going to kill that reel. The 525, 535, 545, 555 series of pins were made in America, and they are solid as rock. Your star that the drag goes against has to go in there correctly, or it won't engage to it. So pay attention. How you take it out, put it back in the same way. You see how the teeth engage each other? There it is. That's how it goes in there. I don't put any grease on that. I do use cowls on all drag washers, and that inner washer that goes between the gear and the handle shaft or star, anti-reverse star, that's a drag washer. So I do lubricate those with cowls. Here I am putting some Penn grease on the gear. Don't have to kill it, but you definitely need to get it down in the teeth. And it will spread itself around pretty well too. You know, it's harder to overdub than it is just to talk while I'm building a reel. I'm learning my lesson here. I'm taking my punishment. I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do next. Whereas if I'm doing it, I know what I'm going to do next. So the next thing I'm putting in is the yoke and the pinion. Lubricate the yoke pretty well where the pinion spins in it. There's not a lot of friction there. It kind of floats in it, but you still want some lubrication in it. There's two posts that the yoke slide down on top of, and then, of course, there's two springs. I'm lubricating the pinion. So it slides down on those two pins. Okay. Now I can put my gear on, main gear. Now on this GS or Graphite series reel, the drag is different. The washers are eared. The drag washers, actually HT100. These are HT100 washers. That's what I use on these reels. I don't buy a smooth drag for them. They're cut with ears on them, so they don't move because they're eared into the gear. I put enough on there where it makes a mess of my hands. The gear, the drag was a little dirty on this, but it wasn't bad. Then you've got keyed washers that go in. Actually, I think they're not keyed. They're just round. They have a round hole in them. Real important that you get that cowls worked into those really good. You can see how dirty mine's. This reel was it's seen some use. When I got it, it was backlashed into a huge bird's nest. I had to cut just about every piece of line out of it. It's a very smooth, free spinning reel. And of course, somebody had those centrifugal weights locked out or in, so they weren't doing anything. So they tried to cast it, and they weren't very well educated with their thumb. It got away from them and blew it up. And this reel probably sat in a garage or something for years before somebody decided to sell it or give it away. So there's the whole drag stack. Well, I got one more washer to put on. And those are keyed, actually. So the next thing would be to put the jack plate in. You want to lubricate where that jack plate slides. And where the jack plate slides up under the yoke, you want to put some lubrication there. There you go. It's up under it. All right. A little lubrication where the free spool lever engages. the convex washer, spacer, springs, there's a plastic bushing goes in there. Then you've got your cover with your, you got a rubber washer that goes in there, and then the two brass washers. I could not get that apart. When I took the reel apart, I had to put it in the ultrasonic and let the ultrasonic break it up a little bit, and it finally just fell apart. Those ultrasonic waves just kind of got in there and got whatever corrosion was holding it together loose. A little speed juice there. Then put the spool tension knob back on. Spool tension knob should not be used for cast control. I don't care what people tell you. Maybe on a bait caster for bass fishing, if that's all you got, but these reels have centrifugal weights and your thumb, and that's what you use the cast control with. Here I'm putting the ring back on. You got to move the anti-reverse or free spool lever into a certain spot, and then you can put the ring back on. You don't have to take that lever off. That's a brand new lever. When I got the reel, the lever was broke. I had to source one of those. Here I'm going to grease all of the bushings in the housing and those two crossbars. And then you got to get it all lined up. And I think the first time I tried it, I didn't get that. The pin from the free spool lever has to line up with that slot on the jack plate. And it takes a little bit of patience and persistence to get it just right. That's probably the trickiest part of this reel. Other than that, it's a pretty simple, straightforward reel. Yeah, see, I got it wrong. And then I realized what I did. Once I got it, I took it back off. I reset the lever. The lever is what was wrong, not the jack plate. I had the lever in the wrong position. I look at it and it's like, oh, okay, here's what's wrong. Watch how easy it goes together. Look, just like it was made for it. Now you've got two smaller screws that go down at the bottom. They're longer, but they're smaller. I love these reels. They're just, you can't beat them. They're just great reels. I know everybody loves the Jigmaster 500, and it is a great reel, but this series of reels replaced the Squitter and the Jigmaster and did it with grace. They were higher speed, they were lighter, they were almost as strong. I won't say they're as strong. There was multiple gear, two gear ratios offered for this reel. You could get the high speed or the low speed ratio. This one's a high speed reel, which is fine for what I'm going to do with it. I think it's a 6-something to 1. I've got the reel packed away now, or I would tell you. I'm in the middle of moving my shop, so I've packed away everything. But it will get brought out this fall, hopefully, if I get down to the coast. If I get my Jeep ready to travel that far. That's a whole nother story. So just tightening everything down. Don't kill it. A couple inch-pounds. Like I always said before, in my other channels that I follow, Young Martin's Reels, Second Chance Tackle, Dennis over there, Rick Stivers, I follow those guys, and they'll tell you the same thing I'm getting ready to tell you. Use a screwdriver that matches the screw. One screwdriver does not fit all. So, use a little common sense about it. You don't want to butterfly a screw up. Look how smooth that reel is. I'm adjusting your your side to side play. It should just be a little tiny bit, very little play. Look at that. That reel is super smooth. Now I'm going to put the handle on. I'm putting it in the power handle position, but I may change that later. No, actually, look, I just switched it. Never mind. Because I decided to use it for surf, I decided not to go with the power handle. And I see an O-ring laying on the sheet there. That did not go in this reel. I was cleaning up my workbench, and that O-ring fell off and fell down onto the work. I was cleaning up a shelf above the workbench. And so don't think I left that O-ring out, because it didn't. It was just kind of sitting around taking up space, I guess. So everything's tight. I'm wiping it all down. Probably telling you about how nice a reel it turned out to be. It did. It was perfect. You know, when you're going to go to the surf, you don't want a brand new reel, honestly. I mean, you can buy a brand new reel, but after you use it one time, it's not going to be new anymore. It's going to get crud on it. It's going to get sand on it. Riding on the front of the Jeep, or the back of the Jeep, or the top of the Jeep, wherever you got it stored at, you know, it's going to pick up crud out of the air. And so, yeah, it's good to have an old reel like this. You know, you're not out. I'm out $30 for this reel, folks. So I can do a lot of fishing, catch a lot of fish, have a lot of fun for $30 and 45 minutes of my time to rebuild it. So this reel will get used. That's what my plan was. I want to find a 535. I don't have any right now, but hopefully I can find one in the near future. But this reel turned out really nice. I'm real proud of it. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. I think I'm above 300 subscribers now, and real happy with the way the channel is progressing. I'm here to show you all how to take these things apart and put them back together. I'm not saying my way is the only way. I'm just saying that's the way I do it. And it'll definitely show you where the little pieces go if you get stuck on one. This is John, the Vintage Fisherman. Thanks for watching. Please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel. And you'll get to see some more. I've got some really cool reels coming up. I'm going to keep my workbench together until the house sells. I'll come over. I'm not living here, but I'll come over here and work on reels until I have to move everything out. That's my plan. So, wow, that reel turned out really nice. I'm real proud of that one. It's going to get clamped onto a nice 8-and-bait rod, or hat receiver, whatever you want to call it, and go catch a fish or two. This is John, Vintage Fisherman. Thanks for watching.